All right, so what I'm gonna do here is I'm starting with a stainless steel pan. I'm heating it up with a tiny bit of sesame oil, just enough to cover the bottom of the pan. I'm gonna add my onions into that, and I'm gonna start sauteing those. This is a process that's gonna take a while, because literally what we wanna do is we wanna remove the water out of those guys, right? It's gonna take us a minute. So we wanna start with a fairly high flame, so we can hear that sizzle going on, that little you're gonna hear that little sizzle going on here, and we want to keep that going for a little bit, right? Once our vegetables are heated up, we're gonna add a little bit of salt. Right? First, we're gonna let them open and relax. I'm gonna add some salt, open the fiber, getting the water out. Right? Salt attracts water. So right now, we're just gonna let it cook for a little bit. The trick with that is not letting it burn. So you have to stir it around with your weapon. It's something like, at the beginning you're going to pay attention. After that it's kind of like, just going to leave it there and leave it be. The second thing I want to start with real fast is one of my favorite grain, and that's millet. Love millet, very versatile. You can do like a million things out of millet. What we're going to do today is going to be a cool, real soil-time millet loaf. So I have here about a half a cup of millet. And by the way, in the chat, I put up a PDF. You have the ingredients for what we're doing today. Do not ask me for measurement. Do not ask me for progression. The progression is right here. The measurement, you can see them. I want you to be understanding how that works, not following a recipe. All right, so here I have, let's say, a couple handful of millet. So when I have millet and I want something that's going to be holding into a loaf, I know I'm going to add about like 5 to 6 times, more or less, the amount of millet. I'm going to add 5 or 6 times the amount as water. Right? So, and really, I'm not measuring it. I haven't measured anything in 15 years. I think it's, more fun to do it that way. So, here, looks like about 5 cups right here, and a little more, just for fun. There we go. And as every time with the whole grain, we follow the very complicated procedure of cooking it, which is bringing it to a boil over a high flame. Right? When it comes to a boil, we're going to add a little bit of salt into it. We can add umeboshi, we can add seaweed, other stuff like that. Then we're going to cover it. Then we're going to let it be for about 40 minutes. Right? It's about the same for most grain, like plus or less time. It's very simple. When people tell you we don't have time to cook healthy, it's very simple. Just gotta think about it. Just like once we put something there, I'm just not gonna have to touch it for the next 40 minutes. So it's not that much work. Don't worry about it. Right? Talk about cooking. It has to be a fun experience. Realize that it's a very powerful experience that each and every one of us can do every day in our kitchen. Working on ourselves, working on our loved ones, working on other people, and really being able to share that love and share that passion and share that real beautiful energy that can come from eating a plant-based diet that's done properly. So here are my onions, as you can see. They're getting a tiny bit of color. I'm going to keep that heat going on, like fairly high for a little bit. It's going to make a little noise. Sorry about that if that disturbs the sounds. And at the same time, I'm going to launch a third long cooking thing. And we're going to do a filling for our millet. So we're going to do something very simple, but that's a trick that I've used many a times. And there's a lot of variation that you can do out of that. Very simple. So here I have a beautiful cabocha, right? The cabocha, I'm going to do a very simple cut. Just going to cut it large slices, about an inch and a half fat. I'm just going to cut them the same way, in one direction. So big chunks. Why big chunks? Because I want it to cook it. I want to cook it for a little bit. I don't want it to be too watery. I want it to keep its texture. I want it to keep its wholeness. I want to have that soil energy. And to get into that soil energy, we want to bring stuff to the point where they cook into a nice and slow manner. So I just have the cabocha right there in the pot. I'm just going to add a little bit of water. Adding about a little bit, or maybe let's say about between a quarter and a half inch to the bottom of the pot. And then I'm going to put that on my burner right here. Oops. Technical difficulty. change burner right here. There we go. Alright. So when I'm here, so that's the thing with that onion fondue, right? For the first like 5-10 minutes, you have to stir it quite a bit. And as soon as you can start seeing a little bit of color coming out of those guys, you can see they're starting to get a little, whoops, the other way, here we go. And get a little color, like that. So now that they're nice and open, what we're gonna do is we're gonna add some salt and some salt, like, you know, just feel doing what is natural. When I cook for myself plus my wife, I usually like use whatever fits into my 3 finger, right? That's a pinch, right? And that's usually how the universe works. It gives us what we need. So we just use, like, you know, simple measurements like our finger, hands, things like that. We know that it's pretty much adapted to what we need to. So now that I added the salt, I'm going to lower down my flame a little bit. So I'm going to keep it to medium. So I still have some heat going, but not too much. I don't have to stir them as often. And they're just going to be here cooking, as you can see, like with the vast amount of steam that's going on. It's going pretty well. Here we go. My millet is getting to a boil here. Here we go. So I have the millet boiling. So I'm just going to turn that down to low. Here we go. As usual, I'm going to add about a pinch of salt. Here we go. Then I'm going to add flame tamer. And we'll see that guy in a little bit when it's cooked, right? So when we talk about making a whole grain, it's as easy as it gets. Now we just let it be there and it'll be ready for us when we come back to it. Having another look at my onions here. I still have quite a bit of a sizzle, so I'm going to lower down my flame a little more and bring that down to like medium-low, right? It's pretty much going to stay there for a little bit. So why are we doing that? When we cook onions for that long and they get that real nice slow feeling to it, because from now on it's just going to be evaporating basically, right? And we're just going to keep focusing the sugars that come out of the onion, and to keep having that really like calming, slowing down, relaxing feeling to it. And that's really what it is. Very, very good. It's very, very addictive. So, Jeff, to do like, can you put the close-up camera? I want you to look at it there. So this is about, it's about like, 7 minutes in, something like that. So you can see where we're at. We're pretty much just sauteing onions, right? So I'm going to do a little production trick here. And with the magic of production, an hour and a half later, this is what we get. All right, this is what we get an hour and a half later. So this has been, as you can see, it's very uncooked. So to give you an idea, what I hold on my spoon right there, this is 6 large onions, right? So you need quite a bit of onions to do that. On the advantage of that, and since you've taken out all the water and with what we're going to do to it after that, it keeps very well. So you can keep that for like literally a month in the fridge. Not a problem at all. So what we're going to do is that, why did we do that? So from this is a base, right? This is onion fondue. So first, we can use that literally as is. Use some of that in your sushi. Put that on a cool mochi pizza. The almonds, it's like a jam almost. It's very, very it's kind of like sweet but savory in the same time. So this is a base that we can do 2 very cool stuff out of. We can do a lot of stuff, but we're going to do 2 of them today. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to do a little onion syrup. So onion syrup, a cool version just for you today. This is a cool version that I thought about this morning. So we're going to do here is, going to use another pot here, and we're going to use some of our friend, the dried daikon. The dried daikon, for those who don't know, dried daikon is a big white radish, and it's an awesome vegetable. It has so many properties, like the list goes on and on and on and on. But basically, it's good for everything that looks like a tube, and it's good for breaking down old stuff in the body. So dried daikon is one of those things that I like just adding on a little bit here and there, and you also have that little note of sweet that's going to bring all things together and make them just like more enjoyable, more relaxing, especially at the end of a long day. So here I'm just going to I have soaked some dried daikon, right? I'm going to add that to my pan here. So you can start with oil if you want a little more oil here. I really don't think I need any. What happens with the onion as well is we have a whole lot of oil or fat that comes directly from the onion, right? So we don't need to add too much of it. It's still going to have that very nice and rich feeling to it. That might be that. That very nice feeling to it. And we have some technical difficulties, sorry about that. So I'm going to add that. So you have the water, the soaking water on my dry daikon here. I've soaked that for about like 20 minutes, something like that. And I'm just bringing that up to a boil. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add a little bit of rosemary and a little bit of sage. All right. Rosemary, again, has that very relaxing feeling to it, and sage really like opens up the mind, right? So especially it's a real very good night dish, right? Very good evening dish, dinner dish. It's gonna like really regenerate you and like make you feel better and make you like want to sit down and have a smile, and you know, that's kind of thing what we're all about. You know, we talk about real comfort food, something that's want to make you like stay home. Right? If there's a dish that makes you excited to go back home, that's what comfort food is. Right? So here we have our water getting to a boil. I'm just going to cook those, just reduce that to very low. I'm just going to cut my sage and my rosemary together. And I'm going to do one cut, right? When we cut herbs, we just go at it once, and we take our time, we make it like nice and thin. And we don't go back on it, try to, especially the lighter herbs like parsley, cilantro, you know, chives, basil. Kind of going to do one cut with a very sharp knife, not come back on it, because the more you come back on it, the more you're going to lose some of the beneficial oils which are in those herbs. Right? The taste and the benefits of those herbs are in the oil, so we want to get all the oil in the food. Right? And those oils are anti-inflammatory and all that fun stuff. So here we go, fresh herbs. Fresh herbs are very cool to use. I like dry herbs too for certain things like long cooking things, like roasting and things like that. But when we talk about quick cooking things which are under like 1 hour, we're gonna say that fresh herbs are gonna have like more of that potent, elevated feeling to it. Alright, so I'm just gonna stir it up all together. And same thing as I did with the onion, and it's like kind of nice and warm. And add a little bit of salt on that one. I mean, just a little bit, right? And all that salt is just here to like open up that fiber and make it easier to cook, easier to digest. So what I want to do here, I'm just gonna cook that down until that water evaporates. Right? Very simple. And then I'm gonna add some of my onion fondue here. So keep in mind, this is about like 3 onions right there. Right, so add some of that in there and mix it a little bit, let it warm up, heat up with the rest. Here I'm gonna push up my flame a little bit. And then we're gonna use some tamari. So I'm using gluten-free tamari here. It's very good stuff. Depending on your tamaris, I'm not gonna give you a measurement, especially because all tamaris are different. And you do this amount with this tamari and another amount with another tamari, and it's never twice the same. So the point is, don't necessarily try to follow a recipe. Following a recipe is a great base, right? Follow a recipe, do it once, boom, you get it, do it twice maybe, but then start messing with it. Start messing with it so you understand how the food tastes, smells, reacts to whatever you're doing to it, right? Just like mess around with your food. Food is a fun game, right? So let's have fun with it. So what we're going to do here is we're going to add some tamari. I have no more water here, basically, because there was no water in my onions. Already cooked it out. So I'm going to add some tamari here. There we go. That's a very potent tamari, so don't have to use too much of it. And, I usually do it visually. And as usual, like when we do this kind of stuff, just add a little at the beginning, and just wait. See how it turns out before just sticking out some more. Sometimes when we wait 5 minutes, let things cook together, the taste is going to change, it's going to elevate himself in a different way. So let's, give it the time. Just put it a little bit at the beginning. Let it cook for a while, see what's up with it. And again, we're going to kind of like follow the same concept of cooking it down. So even though there's very little water into tamari, we're still going to cook it down. So we're going to stop it, when right at the point where it starts becoming thick, right? In a second here, can you show the burners? in a second here, we're going to see that happen in, you can see it's starting to thicken here. It's not as liquid, right? So the water is really evaporating. I'm sure you can see that. Whoops, my flame's quite hard. You can see there. The other way. There we go. So the water is starting to evaporate, and like, you almost have no liquid left. It has become thick. It's all those sugars, it's all those minerals, it's all that goodness that is tamari right there that has cooked down. So we have now that very rich, very deep color, and at that point, we're gonna bring it back home. And now we're just gonna weight it down. So you want to weight it down a little more than what you want, about like, I would say 30% more than what you want, right? And we're going to bring that back to a boil. And then we're going to cook it down a little bit. So as you can see, it was like, beside the onion fondue, that took a little while to cook, which is in itself not that much work. You just have to stir it from time to time. Otherwise, you can use even a mandolin or something like that and be done in a few minutes with it. So the rest is just cooking time. Right, so you can do that while you're doing something else, I like to do this kind of stuff when, like, I'm cleaning or something like that, so I can come to it every few minutes and give it a stir. And so now the only thing we're going to do is let it cook down, bring it back home, and do whatever we want with it. So at that point, again, this is the kind of stuff that I encourage you to modify. Right? Everybody should have his own onion soup recipe. Everybody should have his own style. You can use ume in there, you can use different herbs, you can use different roots. I've done it with parsnip kimpira into it. Like, have fun with it. It depends what you want, it depends how you want to feel, it depends what toy you want to play with, right? This is a lot of fun. I'm gonna play with, oh, I lost my flame here. That's what happens when you do 2 cooking classes in a row, you forget to change. You guys can. Which, by the way, if you guys, I've heard some people saying, hey, I don't have a gas burner, what do I do? You get some of those guys. They're cheap, they work very well, and, if you can, obviously, some building won't even allow an open flame anyway. But especially, like, I've several of those, add them on when I want to cook more than what my stove can handle, take them away, go cook somewhere, whatever, they're very practical. I recommend everybody gets at least one of those, like have one in the back of your car when you're going in vacation. So you can make miso in the morning, and it doesn't sound like much, but if you can make fresh miso in the morning when you're on road trip, even if you find nothing else, you'll be all right. So I found that's what works for us. Obviously, everybody's different, but for us, really that works. Like once you can do something fresh like that, like you can pop out, and that's very easy to make miso. You can find water very easily, and so do fresh stuff, and then those things are here for that. All right, while this is cooking, I want to show you a very cool trick. So when we talk about soil, we're talking about round stuff, right? Round stuff on the ground. And we're still like, in the hot part of soil. We haven't come down quite a bit, still like pretty fiery. So today we're gonna use red cabbage. Ta-da, the perfect link in between fire time and our soil time. It's a good link. Like, I love red cabbage, especially at this time of the year. He has that nice flavor to it. He has that kind of, there's a little bit about it at this time of the year, just like when it's the best. That's all there is to it. Because it needs to keep for a little bit. So those cabbages have actually been picked up like almost a month ago, something like that. That's where the growth is. And they kind of like need to stay a little bit and really encompass that soil nature of being there and centered and waiting and being attentive, right? So what we're going to do with it is we're going to help. That's a bridge, that's what I call a bridge dish. So it's going to be a nice bridge in between our fire time and our soil time. So the second ingredients that we're going to use for that guy is collard greens. I love collard greens. You see, it can make you hot. It's good for your lungs. It's good to hear better. No, I'm kidding. So those guys love this. Very efficient to clear up the lungs. Very efficient to open up and really like feel that uplifting energy that we got. So, and this is nice and relaxed. So it's kind of like that nice bridge in between those two energies. So what we're going to do there is we're going to use a very fire cooking technique, and we're going to use steam. It really opens in every direction, and really open that up and really like link those two together. So we're going to do cabbage. We're going to do the same thing as the onion. We don't want it to be round, so we make it not round. Ooh, very complicated. You know, as you can see, like I've used one cooking technique and one cutting style. Right? We're already at 3 dishes. Yeah, so very simple. Right? Healthy cooking doesn't have to be, and good cooking, good tasting cooking doesn't have to be complicated. It's a matter of how do you really excel and really like reveal what the energy of the vegetable is. Right? So it doesn't have to be complicated. Everything we're doing here is like 4 or 5 ingredients. That's it. All right. So cabbage, we're going to cut it the very same thing as the onion because I want to have the same kind of like julienne kind of a texture. So I'm going to come down here. So for higher vegetable, same cooking technique, same cooking cut, but we are not going to keep the hold on the board because we need a knife that's about this long to do this. So we're just going to come down the same way we've been doing it, but just without the contact points on the board. Enough. A little more. Just a little more. Alright, that's enough right there. And what I'm gonna do here is we're gonna put that in our steamer. Okay, so when you steam something, right, make sure you don't have like 10 inches of stuff stacked up into a steamer because the middle won't cook. So when you steam, make sure your stuff is nice and separated. And you don't have too much weight. So you have like about like maybe 3/4 of an inch here, maybe an inch of thickness into it. I'm just gonna add that into my steamer. I'm gonna go and warm them here. And I'm gonna bring that down, my onion soup, down to a simmer. Alright. So we're almost done. Can you believe it? It's actually not that complicated. Alright. So, there you go. So I always keep I always try, when I cook, keep your space nice and inviting, nice and open. Try to avoid making too much of a mess around you. It's nice to be able to keep control and just enjoy what you're doing. And it's just a few seconds here, clean your bowl, put your stuff away, do that dish that's in the sink. And so you don't end up with 2 hours of dishes to do at the end. Just try to keep up a little bit. Keep a song, sing a song, do something, have fun with it. All right.
You should sing a song.
I should sing a song, right? Here you go. I will sing a song at the talent show, so if you guys weren't planning on watching the talent show now, you have to, because I'm going to sing a song. All right. So we're gonna what we're gonna do is next with those color greens is we're gonna separate the stems. So you can rip them off, or if you want to make sure that you have a very nice cut, because we're gonna make a wrap out of that. If you have a very nice cut. Keep those. At the same time, I took advantage and I was here to just open up the stem in half. I'm going to be able to steam it, and I don't want it to be too fat. Same thing. Oops. Put them upside down. It's always easier to roll. If you put them that way, you're going to most probably break around the stem. So I put them upside down, the stem coming up and nice in there. It's easy to do that and just up, cut it while you're there, and then lift it gently right here. Up. And then you can separate those guys. Right. And one more time. Up. Separate it. Up. It's gonna hold you for a minute. Right. Now our things going here. So our onion soup here. It's getting there. Do we have time here? We have plenty of time. We're gonna leave that I like cooking that a good 10 to 15 minutes. So we really it's not a matter of having water and the onion fondue thrown into it, but to really have a soup kind of a thing. And so if you want to have that one dish, you need to spend a little time together. So you can, when things can spend a little time on the stove, they can spend a little time marinating. Anyway, they need to spend some time together to have that one dish kind of energy to it, and really be easier for the body to tune to, right? When you make one dish, the body has one energy to tune to, make things much easier for them. So we're just gonna let that cook for a little bit. Gonna have a squash right here. She's doing well. You can see just cooking gently. Just a little bit of water at the end. I'm actually gonna put it in a jar for a minute. Make sure that I'm removing a little bit of the water because it's getting a little too watery there. So I'm talking about soil cooking and really comfort food. Nothing's in a rush, right? So Even by, it's usually like very simple dishes at the beginning, but they just need to take a while to cook. And that's really what we're doing there. Like nothing that I've done so far is complicated. In 20 minutes, we've launched 4 dishes. And nothing is complicated into that. It's a matter of really like understanding and really expressing the true nature of the soil elements and the vegetable all together. So it's very easy because, you know, as usually like Mother Nature color-coded and shape-coded everything for us. So all your orange and brown and round and to the ground are beneficial for that soil time of the year. And if you look like my garden right now, you should see my front garden. We have squashes everywhere. It's crazy, just like covering the whole front of the street, just going crazy. And this is really what soil is. It's like, you know, we really like, we branch out, we reflect, we branch out, we there, we observe. And this is, from a physical point of view, this is the time of your digestion, your sugar regulation. So it's the time of the year, you know, to remember what soil is in our day-to-day life, which means that in our practice of just eating, by example, that means that, you know, if it takes a while here, a little bit of time here, and it goes nice and slow, it should be the same right here, right? So chew your food. That's a good time of the year to remember to chew your food, right? The more you chew, right, the faster you're gonna help regenerate, the faster you're gonna get that blood sugar situation under control, the faster you're gonna get this digestive issue under control. And if you don't have either of those, the faster you will improve towards a better future, right? There's never such thing as like, I'm gonna optimize health. No, there's always better. We can do better. Until with a big ball of energy, we can do better always. So this is the time of the year, you know, to really like think about that. Thinking of like how comfortable are we? Right? And this year, especially in the middle of all that, in the midst of all that mess, how comfortable are we? How comfortable are we inside? You know, not talking about comfortable like necessarily by monetary means, but I'm talking about comfortable. How happy are we? How like content? How comfort food are we? You know, and I like to call that for in people's life. You know, when that's really what it is. It's our comfort food side. We need to have those, like, you know, that bubble. We need to be able to create that bubble of peace and happiness of being like able to like sit down and being like, forget about everything, eat some squash, eat some onions, chew a bunch, and relax. Okay? This is that relaxed time of the year. And it's usually a good time because, especially this year, it's so crazy. You still need to relax, right? We need to relax and reflect. When our reflection time comes next, it's going to be middle, right? But right now, let's focus on soil. And I digress here, so, but you know how it goes. So we're digressing here, so I'm going to check on those guys here. I have my cabbage steaming nice and heavy. When I'm talking about steam, I don't like having a tiny bit of steam. I like a good boil under it, but it doesn't need to go like crazy either. But I like a nice good boil under it, nice heavy steam, you know, where we can like keep things active and moving. I like keeping my slow cooking technique for other cooking technique, or slow cooking time for other cooking technique like boiling and, you know, covered things and roasting and things like that. When you talk about steaming, you don't want to steam forever because then the water ends up like permeating every fiber and kind of like loses some of the integrity of the vegetable. So, you know, we're going to keep it moving. And as usual, we're looking for a color shift, right? Every food, when it's ready to be eaten, shift color. Mother Nature did things so well. Like literally, we have to think about nothing. It's literally like a color indicator. It's going to shift color. And when it shifted color, we can take it out and do whatever we want with it. And that's what's going to be happening there. Okay. That's been 10 minutes. All right, I kind of need the burner, so I'm going to cut it short for a little bit. Here we go. So our onion soup right here, it's going to be ready. And if you want to put the close-up here, you're going to be able to see that, you'll see the fat that's on top of it. And mind you, for those 6 onions, I added maybe a half teaspoon, 3/4 of a teaspoon of sesame oil at the beginning just to get it started. So you can see like the amount of fat. Whoops, can we see there? There we go. Well, you can see the amount of fat, and it's shiny on it. You have literally like eyes of fat there. And that's all the fat that was beneficial from the onion itself. Right, so no need to add a whole bunch of cooking oil. Just extract the oil of the vegetable you got there. Like, and those oils are very watch out, stop. Very easily absorbable, right? So like you get like not only double bind, you get a delicious food, but on top of that you have something that's very easy to absorb, right? It's all about absorption, digestion, and all that fun stuff. All right, and another pan. Go. All right. So what we're gonna do here, we're gonna use the onion fondue. Can I have a ladle, please? We're gonna use the onion fondue to do something else right there, and we're gonna bring into play our friend the garlic. I love garlic. I use garlic like in many kind of ways. Maybe it's due to some of my upbringing, because literally, you know how they say with French cooking is like first you put onions and garlic in the pan, and then let's talk about it. Let's see what we're gonna do. All right. So usually there's onion and garlic everywhere. So yeah, I love garlic. So a couple of things about garlic. Garlic, it's an awesome little guy that needs to be activated. Right? It can be held in suspension for so long. We can keep garlic for so long because it needs to be activated. It kind of like separated and gets into that dormant stage when we pick it up. So to do so is a little trick, and in the meantime, there's going to be a very quick way of peeling the garlic. So what you want to do is you want to take the little hard part here, the garlic, and we're just going to cut it off, right? That is it. Then we're going to take a blade. Well, I used to take my blade. You can take whatever else you want to. You can take a hammer if you want to, for what case. And I put my blade here. I'm just going to hit it like this, right? And then I can just grab the top, and here we go. My garlic is peeled, right? So it just came out right there. And at the same time, what is the benefit of that is now we work it up. Now those two proteins that collided together are creating all those phytocompounds which have those beneficial properties of antiviral, antifungal, and stuff like that. But it does only happen when we do that. So if we just take a bunch of garlic and we blend it with something, we got some of it, but we're not getting the best of it. And as I was saying, it's a matter of really expressing the true nature of whatever we're using. So really like working into expressing what it is and what it should be. All right? So same thing. Tapping it gently, and then we can just grab the top and hop, here we go. See, so your hands don't smell, your bowl doesn't smell, all that fun stuff. It's gonna smell in a minute because I'm gonna kill it, but all right. So it takes a few minutes to do so. So like, a few minutes before using your garlic, just go ahead and smash it and let it be there for a minute. We're gonna have a look. Cabbage, here we go. Color shift has very obviously happened here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a strainer. What am I going to do so you can see that? Here we go. Oops. Move that for a minute so you can see it. Alright, so I'm going to take my cabbage here and I'm going to go ahead and put it in a strainer. I'm going to show you why in a minute. Alright, the cabbage over there. And what I'm going to do is I'm also going to need to steam my color greens, and the color greens are going to be the wrap. We'll go around it. So same thing I'm going to do. I try to do that one layer we're talking about. Hold on, we're having issues here. Can you see it better?
It's better this way, but then it wants to fall.
There you go. You're gonna see it in a minute better anyway. I'm gonna move it. So here I'm just adding my color greens, keeping my flame off. Those are gonna cook much faster than some of the cabbage did. So now here, I'm gonna put that here. I know it's not great on the board, but at least you guys can see it. All right, so I'm gonna put that here right there. I'm gonna use my bowl. I had my millet in, and I'm gonna press the cabbage. I'm literally using like my whole weight on it. You know what I mean? You can also, this is the quick and fast method. You can also like put two bowls together and put like 2 gallons of something on it, 2 gallons of water in the bowl on the top, and just gonna squish it nice and slow. But it's a good workout. I like doing it. All right. So we're gonna squish out the water. You can see there's quite a bit of water that comes out of it. All right. And put that aside. And we're gonna take a bowl. All right. Put my bag here to warm up. And while I'm doing this, so then we're getting short on time here. So.
Yeah, 20 minutes.
Good. So my pan starts here. I'm adding my onion. Just gonna let it be here. Now I turn off my flame, so I'm just like literally like warming up the onion, spilling it because I want to bring it to like closer to what that garlic kind of filling is. Alright, now I'm gonna take my cabbage. Flip that. There we go. Don't do this anymore. Alright. I'm gonna pull out my color greens. Alright, same thing, right? With a nice color shift here, that's perfect. Where we want it. And that's in there. Right. see that, so you can see that better. There we go. Alright, so you can see like those greens are nice and vibrant, you know, look at it. Right? You can see that color shift right there. You see the difference. This is nice and green, but this is green and vibrant, right? So we want like our vegetable to switch to get that color shift, sorry. So they're easier to absorb, right? That color shift is telling us like, hey, feed me, I'm ready. So what we're gonna do here, we're gonna take your hot cabbage, and you want to do that when it's hot. And we're gonna add some ume plum vinegar, right? Liberal amounts of ume plum vinegar, right? You can see, don't pinch right away, don't pinch. Alright, let it soak up for a sec, stick out the rest of our color greens here. Hop là, hop là. I'll put the last two guys here. There we go. Alright, so you can see now we have a nice vibrant red. Here, I'm going to put it there. There you go. Nice vibrant red for red cabbage. It's really like festive. Whoops, just made a mess. It's really festive, and it kind of like makes you want to eat it. You know, it's kind of like, yay, eat me. It's like I'm happy. Everyone like, it's enjoyable to look at. You know, good food is usually enjoyable to look at. You know, good, healthy, powerful, good for you food is usually enjoyable to look at. All right, last thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take those stems. This one. We're gonna take those stems that I opened, and yeah, put it. All right, I'll go back to our gravy right now, and turning back on the flame on that guy. Then I'm gonna use the garlic. And here, since I want to mash it like nice and full, I want to like one open the flavor at once. I don't really want to slice it. So if you have a garlic press, that works perfect. But if you don't, I'm going to take again that blade. I'm going to hit it this time a little harder. And you can see it's already like very nice and broken down. So at that point, I don't have much chopping to do to get it to where I want it. All right, so here we go. Now we have nice and crushed garlic. That's really what crushed garlic is, alright? So here, I'm going to put that gear right here. So again, this is something, you know, please modify it. Please do whatever you want with it. There is absolutely nothing wrong in putting whatever else you feel that you need or enjoy. Because again, this is comfort food, so we're talking about enjoying what we're doing here. I mean, all those are like, I've never met so far, because you never know. But so far I've never met somebody that doesn't like it. Alright, the squash is cooked here. Open it up. Take your blender. Squash. You can see there is no more water, right? So it's not sticking yet, there's just no more water. Alright, squash is like nice and cooked there, really doesn't need. It's not complicated again. Right, all those, I know it's building up to make it cool, like, you know, looks like it's complicated, but all those, as you can see, are very, very simple operation we're doing.
What's in there?
So far we just got the squash right there, just the cooked squash, yeah? So what we're gonna do to that is we're gonna add a little bit of white miso to it. I don't know, some. And then we're gonna add some umeboshi to that. Couple of ume right there. Here we go. And then I'm going to bring that into the blender. And we're going to blend that. So I'm going to make a little noise for 1 second. Sorry about that. Here we go, I'm done making noise. So now we got squash puree. What are we gonna do with our squash puree? Will you tell me? Well, let me show you. Got a sign for a second. Yeah, can you see? I'm gonna put that on the other camera so you can see what it looks like. Here we go. And then we're gonna have a look at our millet. That should be pretty much where we want it. Almost. I was generous on the water, so it's gonna take another minute or so. I'm just gonna take the lid off here. It's actually cooked. I just put a little too much water. You know, that's really what cooking is about. Like, if If you have too much water on something, that's okay. Just let it cool off. The millet can cook a little more. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to add like a pinch of salt to the millet. And I'm going to add a little bit of tahini. Right, so again, liberal amounts. Can use almond butter. Can use no tahini. Can use whatever you want. All right, it's just a thing I like. Works very well. All right, so I'm here. I'm going to slow down our onion and garlic. So at that point here, we can use, a variety of things. I like doing it with tamari. You can do it with mustard. You can do it on this one. We're going to use just a little more salt. All right, just going to add a little salt to that guy. And then I'm going to add some kuzu. All right, for those who don't know, kuzu, it's that awesome super alkalizing starch that comes from the kuzu root plants. And it's very, very alkaline. It's thinner than bentonite. It goes in every nook and cranny in the body. So that's for the physical part of it. But for our special purpose today, what is cool is that it uses as any other starch, which means it is going to thicken whatever we put it in. So I'm going to use a little bit of cold water. That's enough to cover the kuzu. I'm not trying to add like a whole bunch of water to my gravy here. I'm just using a little bit of cold water. Alright, and then a little pepper there, it's nice and simmering. I'm going to break down that kuzu, right? And why am I doing that in a little bit of water at the beginning? It's because if I don't, and I try to just put the starch directly in the hot liquid, it's just going to make a big lump, right? So just going to melt it down, get all of it, and then we're going to add that to our pan. And here we go. Now we have a nice creamy gravy. Nice, here, you guys can see that. Can you see the side coming on? Alright, so here now we have all gravy going on. Here you can see it there. Yeah. There you go. So it's nice and nice and thick. So that's the kind of stuff. As much as you can warm it back up, it's fine. I find that when we talk about kuzu, if you can for a gravy, just just do it right before you serve it. That's awesome. Yes, that's different kind of feeling to it. All right, and now I'm gonna take out my stems. 1 minute. There you go. Perfect. Stop the steamer. Stop this. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna use our millet. It's perfect right there. So millet is like here nice and creamy. So when it's nice and creamy like that, we're gonna. Sorry, I'm burning my hair. It's nice and creamy like that. I like taking it out and just whisking it up for a little bit, like breaking it down a little smoother. Yep. And then I'm gonna do that. So I'm adding quarter to half inch, maybe something like that. And then we're gonna take squash. If you have time to actually let it cool off a little bit, it's easier too. I don't right now, so I'm just gonna do it. Here we go. I would do. Just gonna up. It's a little too. Be better if you wait 5 minutes in between the layers. Be easier to deal with. Right now it's very, very hard. Okay. I'm gonna do that. So what I do is you want to put the squash in the middle, kind of leave about a half inch on the side where you don't have squash. So what's gonna happen is when we let that cool off, it's gonna set all together. And then you'll be able to flip it over, right? And for the table, for example, if you're feeding 3-4 people, you could take the whole thing and warm it up in the oven and just brush all your over it. It's gonna be nice and golden. Then you have a very nice toast. And when you cut into it, you have that beautiful squash in there that usually people won't be expecting. So you can have that, and then you can use, and why not? You can do something like that just to make it look cool. And why not? You take what you have left over right there of the squash, and you can very much so put it with your gravy. Huh? It'll be good. You just have to cook it together for a little longer. Yeah. There's plenty of stuff you can do that. So then we just let that cool off, right? When it cooled off, flip it over, you can just get into it. I think we're good on time. If you want to open the mics and if we have any questions, so...
If anyone wants to ask a question, they can unmute themselves.
Okay, you can unmute, if you want to ask a question, you can unmute yourself. We can also take question on the chat. I know that was a very quick, fast cooking class. I know some of you will have issue with my accents. And for that, no worries. You will see all of this video and all of them after that on our YouTube channel. And with it, so on YouTube, you know, it does subtitles. So if you didn't get exactly what I was saying, you will have subtitles. And second, we will put also in the comments of each and every one of those videos the if there's a handout like a recipe or ingredient or something that is going to be in there as well. And so something.
Roll your green roll?
Oh my God! Oops! I'm forgetting something here. Oops! All right, so let's finish right there. That cabbage, very simple. I'm adding a drop of toasted sesame oil. Hey, maybe for that whole thing, like, this is not open. That's a joke. There you go. It's about like a teaspoon for that thing, which is about like, you know, something like 3 cups. Yeah, just gonna be that mixture, that mix of umeboshi vinegar and toasted sesame oil is really like, almost like smells like coffee. It kind of like gives the same addictive response to it. All right, I have a bigger one here. If you have a larger sushi mat, it works better. All right, so I'm just gonna line up my sushi mat. And then I'm gonna take my half a cup of green. So I'm gonna put the green side, the outside part, like down, right? So when I'm done, that's gonna be this side that's gonna be showing up, and it's just like nicer visually. All right, so I'm just gonna line those guys up like this. So here's the trick. When you do that, you keep one for the end and you put it like this. It's gonna ensure the integrity of your roll when you cut it. All right, and then I'm gonna put the stems right in the middle. Here we go.
Did you say to add tahini to the onion soup along?
No, the tahini went into the millet. I put a little bit of tahini in the millet. You can see if you guys like look on the chat, like the ingredient list, it's like by dish, it says what I put in it.
We have another question. Would you serve the millet when you layer it like that, hot or cold? What would you do after you just layered it like that?
So right now we have to let it set, right? So it's gonna take like anywhere in between, saving the size of your pan, in between like 30 minutes to an hour, you know, depending how big you make it. You want to let it set. Then you'll be able to take it, flip out the dish you put it on. It's gonna come out like nice and easy. Usually like comes out right and easy. And you can put like a sheet on top or a board on top or a plate on top and then like flip it, you know. So basically you just want to flip the stuff and just take it out of this mold. And then at that point you can just either just warm it up like in the oven, steam it up, just like, you know, whatever you want to do with it. And then you can add the gravy on it. You can cut it in smaller pieces so people can, you know, there's so much you can do. This is going to give you like that kind of like cake almost, I would say. So that kind of like, you know, loaf all together. And then you can cut it if you want to. You can serve a slice. So that's something that's going to keep very well for several days. So if you want to cut a slice, put the rest back in the fridge, and you know, like eat a slice every day for the next 3 days.
Can you mention how you do a twice bake with that too?
So
that's really good.
The twice baking. So if you want to do like an awesome one, you need 2 days to do it. So then you need to let it cool off overnight in the fridge, so it's dead dense, right? And then in the morning, you're gonna take it out, and before it has time to actually warm up inside, you want to take it like literally from the fridge down to the oven, and you're gonna brush it with oil, right? You're gonna brush it with oil, and then you're gonna leave that on roasting in about like 350 for like maybe like 20 minutes, and from time to time, just like maybe do a little brush. It's gonna become like nice and golden and crispy on the inside. And when you cut it right there, when you take it out of the oven and you bring it to the table and cut it, the center is going to be literally creamy. It's going to melt. It's going to literally come out. It's delicious. So if you have time, do that for the next day. You know, it's pretty cool. Anyway, going back to that, I'm just going to finish it up before we end up with the rest of the questions. So same technique as the sushi, right? I have like my base right here, and then I left about 1 inch in the back. Right there was nothing. I put it there. So I'm going to put same technique. I'm going to put 2 thumbs under, right? I'm going to grab this and hold this together and go ahead and flip it. And that's where you make the roll or not. Here, at that point, you want to hold your sushi mat right there, and you want to kind of like tighten your roll right there. This is, that movement makes the roll or not. This is where you make your roll. right? So here, so you have a nice compact here, and then I'm gonna take out the mat. I'm gonna apply pressure with my left hand. I'm gonna walk my fingers toward the end of the sushi mat while I'm pulling the mat with my other hand. Here we go. And I pull up like with a roll that's perfect every time. Don't need to roll it, pull it, cross it, whatever. Just do it right there when it's at the beginning. Just pull it, and really make it nice and tight, and that's what makes the roll. All right, then last little trick is to cut that guy. Make sure that the end of your leaves, you can see right there, right? Then the here, so we're gonna put that down, so it's under the roll when we cut it, because if it's on top, the roll is gonna start to undo itself. Right, so then you can cut, and we're just gonna do some straight cut with that guy, right there. All right, so you can do that. I like doing them not too big because it's a very powerful dish, right? Because you gotta chew still the collard greens, yeah. Thank you. You gotta chew the collard greens still, so it's a very powerful dish. So don't try to make them like huge thing, because then you will be chewing on the collard greens for the next alpha. I've done that. Don't do it. All right, and that's so very simple to do, very easy to make, and it looks cool. It just looks cool together. You know, that's the kind of thing when we're talking about comfort food, and we're really talking about visually appealing, comforting colors, right? Okay. Can you see that? Center that properly.
Also a question.
Here we go.
Would you say that what you have here together is a meal?
Almost. I would personally add some vegetable protein in there, many beans, pulses, you know, kind of thing. So we're gonna have big guy right there. Right, so we're gonna have this and that. I mean, you're getting close. Don't get me wrong. It's not like you're lacking protein or anything like that. Nutritionally, I would say that you have everything right there to sustain you, definitely. When we talk about comfort food, we're thinking about that very nice, deep feeling that pretty much only pulses and beans can bring us. Like, you know, we have like, if by example with this, I would serve a nice tempeh. Well, we can put some tempeh in the onion soup, by example. Here, let me try to frame that better. Here we go. Can put some tempeh in the onion soup. We could, you know, we can put some, I would do like a little black bean refry or something like that, like maybe a pinto bean chili or something like that with it. And it wouldn't need to be much. Just talking about the roundness, the energetical balance of it all, we'd have to need like something a little deeper and heavier. Because right now, beside the millet, everything is kind of like quick grown. Beans take a while to go and dry. Anything else? Seem to be good. All right, cool. So
my mother said that she wished she was closer because she'd come by and steal the color
and steal the color roll. I know. Those things are very addictive. Like again, those things are great if you like, you know, you want to introduce somebody to healthy eating. This is like real. Like this is really good. That's a bomb of nutrition. It's like it's awesome. You know, and you get like all your prebiotics. You get this is again like, you know, we're going back to like what Gordon was saying yesterday. This is all your 5, you know, for a real healthy diet. This is your all organic, plant-based, etc., etc. Remember, organic, plant-based, local, whole food. That's it, right?
We have one more question. Does the onion garlic sauce go on the millet?
The onion garlic sauce does go on the millet. That's what it's for. Yes, very much so. When it's going to be cooled off, then that's what that little guy is for, right? You can literally stick that under anything. You can stick raw broccoli to a 5-year-old kid and put that on it and he will eat it. That's how good that stuff is, right? This is eating every single one of your pleasure sense. You know, it's like you get the fat, you get the sweet, you get the long cook. You know, you got that real attention that has been brought to a dish. Because let's not forget something. The most important ingredient of all those dishes is what we're putting into it, right?
Could you put beans in the millet and squash dish?
You could, very much so. You could also layer it with, like, you could take some tempeh, you know, and like saute some tempeh with like some whatever seasoning and stick it in the millet, even if you want to. Yes, please do. You could do like, again, there is no limit to what you can do. If you feel like doing it, go ahead and try it. What the worst thing that's going to happen, it doesn't taste that great, and next time you do it differently. So Go ahead and try it. This is all healthy food. You can mix, match, you know, have fun with it, play with it, and really like find what makes you happy to be in the kitchen. That's the whole point of it all. It's a big, giant game. It's supposed to be fun. Yeah, it's food. It's like it's colors and shapes and fire and knives, and it's a lot of fun.
So Valerie Gustinelli said, loved it when you brought that to the Christmas Eve party. People couldn't believe that they were macro.
Yeah, that's what like people didn't like when we bought those stuff. We had a big Christmas party and at somebody's and there was like 200 people and like people like were going crazy on it and they were like, what's in there? Like what's that taste? Why is it so addictive? And literally it's 4 ingredients, right? Again, expressing what it is. It doesn't need to be complicated. Get your vegetable from a good source. You know, if you can get organic, if you can get farmers market, if you can get direct farm to table, that's awesome, great. If you can grow some vegetable in your backyard, that's even better. You know, like get your vegetable, get them in, grow some microgreens on your countertop, sprout some stuff in your cupboards. Like, you know, it's fun, have fun with it. You can do a lot, and it's all very simple. People get themselves overwhelmed by the prospect of cooking, and nothing's complicated. Absolutely nothing. It's just a matter of, you know, doing it, and you know you're gonna mess it up a couple of times. It's the same thing that you do anything else. You know, if you try to juggle the first 2 times and we start with fresh eggs, you're gonna break a lot of eggs, right? You know, it's gonna take a few years before you get there. But the same thing with cooking. You know, yeah, sure, you're gonna like make a few mistakes, like I did. Oh my God, so many. You have no idea how many times I cut my fingers, burn stuff, drop stuff. I mean, I've made mixes that were borderline inedible, right? And it's still, but then you don't do it again. You learn from that. That's what life is, right? Cooking is like life. That's a representation of life. We learn from our mistake and then we just don't do it again. Right? We just become better at it all the time, but just progressing all the time, right? So we have our time the hour and it looks like we're good on questions. So thank you so much for following class. And next is Jessica Porter. And then we'll have at 2:30, and then we will have Mariana doing some other cooking right there in this kitchen because she's right here at home today, and she's gonna make some barbecue shawarma and some cookies. Anyway, it's like the day of decadence and enjoy, you know, kind of thing. That's the part of cooking, you know, that can be fun but still stay healthy. So thank you so much for being there, and we'll see you soon.